Hello guys, Conaide Susazon here. Welcome to my first recipe in English. At the end of this video, please like and subscribe. Today I bring you a ground beef lasagna recipe which is very quick and easy to make. First, we need 2 pounds of ground beef which you can find at any of your local grocery stores. Next, we will need 1 container of cream cheese or the bar, whichever you prefer, 1 pound of mozzarella cheese, 2 ragu pizza sauces, make sure it's still homemade, and 1 box of lasagna pasta. We will only be using 12 pieces. Our first step is to cook our ground beef thoroughly. Make sure you don't overcook it. We will now add salt and pepper as desired. Next, we will take one of our pizza sauces, specifically this one, which you can also find at your local grocery stores. Make sure it's the homemade style. We will add it into our beef and mix thoroughly so it incorporates very well. Now you will stir and stir and stir while you lower the heat to medium. When everything is well incorporated, you will turn it off and you will set it aside. But make sure you mix the sauce and the meat very, very, very well together. Now you will close it, set it aside. Now I have in a pot water, olive oil with a little pinch of salt, which is where we will cook our lasagna. I'm now gonna add our lasagna leaves into my boiling water with the olive oil and the salt. We will only be cooking 12. We only need 9 for the lasagna, but 2 or 3 always rip, so make sure to cook some extras. We will place them in the pot standing up, and as they cook, they will slowly begin to fall into the pot so they can cook thoroughly and evenly. We will cook for approximately 8 to 12 minutes, and once cooked, we will set aside. Make sure to not overcook them. The oil is so that they won't stick, but if you overcook them, they will eventually stick. Now I will take my mozzarella cheese. I prefer to buy the bar, but you can buy any brand at any store as long as it's mozzarella cheese. You can even use cheddar if you like. As long as it's mozzarella cheese, you're good. I will begin by cutting half of it, so it's a pound, and then I will begin to grate it, as so. Once grated, I will set aside on a plate. Now I'm gonna take my cream cheese. Here I got the container. I am gonna mix it so it becomes a little softer and it's easier for me to use in the process, but you can use the bar as well. Just make sure you cut it into little cubes and it will make the process of making your lasagna way easier. If you're using the container, please make sure you mix thoroughly until it's soft. Just like so. So we're gonna mix, make sure it's really, really, really soft. And then we're gonna move on to our next step. Now we're gonna take a container that can be used in the oven. You can use any container, it can be aluminum as long as you can use it in the oven. This is optional, you don't have to do a meat base, but I prefer to do this because it's easier to lay out my layers. So I'm just gonna thoroughly put a little bit on the bottom, use this as my base. And now I'm gonna evenly spread my lasagna. I'm gonna use 3 strips of lasagna on each layer and layer them out as so. This will give us a nice base for when we add our sauce, our cheese, and our meats. We will continue this process as we go. Now I will add little by little our second jar of pizza sauce. Make sure it's evenly distributed and it covers all our lasagna. In this step, it is totally up to you if you want to use a lot of sauce or a little sauce. The whole point is that you evenly distribute it on top of our pasta. I am now adding my shredded mozzarella cheese as well. You can add or a lot or a little bit. It's all personal preference. After I add my mozzarella, I am now going to distribute my ground beef evenly and thoroughly on top of our cheese, as so. It is also optional. You don't have to use a lot. You don't have to use small amounts. It is all up to you. And then we add mozzarella once more. After we add our mozzarella, we are now going to begin to add our cream cheese. Remember, you don't have to do it as I do it, but I prefer to add cream cheese. If you don't want, you don't have to. You can add more, you can add less, but this is how I prefer to do it. And now I'm just adding more and more. And that's how it looks. We will repeat these steps for 3 more layers. As so, we add our lasagna. 3 pieces, remember, it's 3 pieces of lasagna. As so, and then we add our sauce. And remember, it's totally up to you how much you want to use. I prefer this amount. You can use more, you can use less. It's totally up to you. Now I'm going to distribute it evenly. Nice, even layer. And again, I will add my beef. Once that's distributed evenly, my mozzarella, just as so. You can use cheddar as well. You don't have to strictly stick to mozzarella, but I prefer using mozzarella for this recipe. Remember, you don't even have to add cheese if you don't want to. You can just strictly stick to the cream cheese, the ground beef, and the sauce. It's totally optional, but this is how I prefer to cook it. Now I am adding more cream cheese. Remember, if you use the bar, all you have to do is cut it into little cubes and distribute them evenly throughout the layer, and it will make the process easier. In this case, since I use a container, it's the reason why I decided to soften it so I can just evenly distribute little chunks of cream cheese. Our last and final step is to take 3 more pieces of lasagna, as so. This is going to be our last and final layer. I'm going to make sure it's distributed evenly. I will now add the last of our pizza sauce and thoroughly spread it over the top of our pasta, just as so. Remember, if you want, you don't just have to use 1 container for our lasagna, but you can use 2. It just all depends how saucy you want it. So I will continue to spread it and try to get the last of what's in the container. I am now taking what's left of my shredded mozzarella cheese and I am distributing it evenly throughout our last layer. Remember, you can use as many or as little cheese as you would like. This is just how I prefer it. Once we are finished with that, we will cover it with foil, put in the oven at 375 degrees, and we will cook it for approximately 15 to 20 minutes or until our cheese is completely melted and it will be completely ready. Remember, all our ingredients were already cooked. This is our final result. I decided to side my lasagna with salad, but you can choose whatever side you want, whatever you prefer. I can assure you this recipe is completely delicious and you will not regret doing it. Thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe.